You get the brilliant Toyota BZ with trade-in boosters of up to €2,000 and the all-new Toyota CHR Plus with an EV range of up to 600 plus kilometres. You'll even get a battery warranty of up to 1 million kilometres or 10 years. There's flexible payment options, so talk to your dealer today. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply. Best-selling claim based on latest published figures. Cover subject to Toyota annual check.
Celebrate Black November at Yisk with fantastic offers. Right now you can save up to 70% on more than 1,000 items, including indoor furniture, pillows and much more. Yisk.
Scandinavian sleeping and living.
I'm an absolute dinosaur.
He just went nuts one night and started shooting the gun off upstairs.
Okay, Superman.
Kiss my face.
He's welcomed back by all the Muppets in the press room, and, you know, he deserves another chance. He doesn't his bollocks. Oh, bloody hell, he's put me on the spot there. Off the ball rules, baby.
Hungary have beaten Armenia by 0-0 in Yerevan. It means the Republic of Ireland must get at least a draw now against Portugal tonight to keep their World Cup dream alive. We're live to the Aviva Stadium for the build-up shortly. We'll have in-game coverage and post-match analysis. It is Off the Ball until 10 o'clock here on News Talk. Join us after the news.
On 106 to 108 FM, on the News Talk app, powered by Gold Out, and Smart Speaker. This is News Talk.
Good evening, the news with Alan Cantwell. The body of a man in his 30s has been found in County Louth. The discovery was made outside a home at the Dushka Roden area of Dundalk at around 8 this morning. The Technical Bureau is currently examining the scene, which is sealed off. The coroner has been notified and a post-mortem exam will be arranged, the results of which will determine the course of the investigation. Anyone with information is asked to contact Gardaí. 9 kilos of ketamine with an estimated value of €540,000 has been seized in County Kildare. A man in his 20s was arrested and is being held at a Garda station in the county. The seizure is part of an intelligence-led operation involving the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, the Newbridge Drugs Unit and Revenue and Customs Services. Traffic volumes on Dublin's M50 have risen by 11% since 2019. Transport Infrastructure Ireland says 2025 has already seen more crashes on the motorway than all of last year. It's recorded about 1,200 non-collision incidents since January, which include breakdowns of flat tyres among other issues. TII spokesperson Sean O'Neill says average daily traffic volumes were rising by about 2% a year.
The busiest typical day is a Thursday, and that will, again, we have the highest junction sort of between Junction 5 and Junction 6, which is Finglas and Blanchardstown. You're looking at a number at about 189,000. That would be on a Thursday, and the busiest time would be between 4 and 5 in the evening or the afternoon.
The National Directorate of Fire and Emergency Management convened a meeting of all local authorities, relevant government departments, state agencies and utility providers earlier. It's to plan and prepare for the rain and flooding forecast issued by Met Éireann. The status orange warning for Dublin, Wexford and Wicklow runs from 2 tomorrow afternoon until 11 a.m. on Saturday. A number of yellow warnings are also in place across Friday and Saturday. Cathal Nolan from the Ireland Weather Channel outlines the areas worst affected.
The counties that are likely to be hit worst will be anywhere from Louth right the way down through coastal parts of Meath, through much of Dublin, especially so for Wicklow and also for North Wexford. These are the areas that will see both the strongest of the winds and also the heaviest of the rainfalls. In terms of wind speeds, we're talking about values up to 100 to 110 kilometres per hour in exposed coastal fringes, but generally between 80 to 100.
That's it for now. We'll have news again in an hour.
At Centra, we've got amazing Santa savers from now until the big man arrives. Like McVitie's Victoria Biscuit Selection 490 gram, only $3.75. Centra Fresh Hour Strip Loin Steaks 2-pack, only €9. And Doritos Sharing Bag Selected Range, €2 each. Stock up with Centra. Centra. Live every day.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Forget the dodgy Secret Santa. Give the team a gift they'll love with Ryanair's corporate gift cards.
This evening will be mainly cloudy with scattered showers. Some may be heavy. Overnight rain and drizzle will move up from the south, mainly affecting the south and east. Becoming breezy with temperatures of 5 to 11 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're welcome along, folks, to Off the Ball for your Thursday evening here on News Talk. John Duggan sitting in for Owen Shane, and we hope you're doing great around the country. Big night. WhatsApp is the number 0879 180 180. That is 0879 180 180. The news not too great from Yerevan. Hungary have beaten Armenia 1-0 in their World Cup qualifier. It means Barnabas Varga's goal has put Hungary on 8 points. We're on 4, the Republic of Ireland. We must get a result now against Portugal, the 5th ranked team in the world, in Dublin this evening to keep our World Cup hopes alive. They are slim hopes. We're joined in studio for the evening by the former League of Ireland winning boss with Dundalk, Vinny Perth. Evening, Vinny.
Evening, John. How are you?
There's always hope, Vinny. I'm good at the moment, but I'm not so sure about 10 o'clock. But there's always hope in sport.
Yeah, I think I was lulled in earlier on again to that sort of sense of maybe something can happen. And but then when Armenia was 0-0, and I start thinking, I sort of don't want Armenia to get a result in case we finish last in the group. It was more that I was worried about than the other way. But look, we know what we have to do now, and it's not an easy task, but ultimately tonight was all about getting a draw if we could.
Yes.
That hasn't overly changed, has it?
No, it hasn't. Let's go live to the Aviva Stadium. Our reporting team for the night, the former League of Ireland winning midfielder Stuey Byrne and Stephen Doyle. Good evening, gents.
Good evening, John and Vinny.
Hey, John. Hey, Vinny.
So, Stephen, we know what we got to do. At least a draw required, and surely that's got into the dressing room, that news.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Hamer Hallgrimsson even said that, that they kind of knew what they would have to do once they go out onto the pitch this evening. It's not an insurmountable task, John. You've got to avoid defeat, basically, against this Portugal team, which we really frustrated in Faro. Look, I lay it out to you like this, John, okay?
Yeah.
If you're looking at this as a logical football game here between two teams, looking at the balance between the teams, looking at the standard of the two sets of players, you've got to say Portugal should win this match. But if Ireland can somehow pull out a performance, which we have seen them doing in the stadium, we've seen them doing it under Stephen Kenny against Portugal and against Serbia, and we've seen this team doing it against Portugal and Faro, albeit getting undone by a very, very late goal. So there is hope there. It's a very small bit of hope, John, but there is hope that Ireland can avoid defeat here and take this group right down to the last game. And when you look at the two teams, like this Ireland team, it's going to be set up like, you would say a 5-4-1. I think it might be even a 5-5, John, for this first half. I think that's how this Irish formation is going to be. They set their stall out against Armenia last month. This is how this team is going to play under Hamer Hallgrimsson. It's going to be defensive, it's going to be robust, and they're going to try and get in the faces of this Portuguese team. Now, with that in mind, I do think there's a couple of players now, John, in that Irish team that can maybe wind this Portuguese team up and just give Ireland a bit of bite. And when you think back, John, the last big result we got against a big nation at the Aviva Stadium was 10 years ago against Germany. What happened in that game? Shay Given went off injured. Like, everybody was thinking, we are absolutely bunched now. Shay Given's gone, Darren Randolph came on, the rest is history. Ireland beat the world champions by 1-0. So look, the outrageously impossible things can happen in football. If you're to look at it logically, this could be the end of the road for Ireland, but we just don't know what might happen in a football match.
We don't know, Stephen, and the atmosphere will be great because Catherine Connolly's there for the first time. It's a full house, like it's a sellout.
Yep, it's a sellout, John. Now, I have to say, I was around the ground before the match, John, just kind of trying to get a gauge of the atmosphere and the mood. Very subdued around the ground now. In fairness, it's a Thursday. People are struggling to get to the game. I was coming from outside the city myself. I was coming from Wicklow, and the traffic is an absolute nightmare. There seems to be some sort of a fun fair going on over at the RDS. That seems to be adding to it. Stewie did mention that we might even have a couple of Christmas parties starting around now at this time of year. So there just seems to be a mad traffic hold up right around the grounds. So I don't know if we got the full sense of the atmosphere coming into the ground maybe about an hour and a half ago. I'm glad to say, John, the music has just, we came in here first and they're playing stuff like Picture This, like real miserable modern music. And you're thinking, the players can't be listening to this stuff before a big game like this. We need to get these lads hyped up here, And I know it might sound like a pretty, stupid kind of a thing that doesn't matter, but it does. The players have to be listening to something that gets them motivated. They've got to be out there warming up, feeling we're going into a massive game here. We've got to get a result and we've got to beat this Portuguese team.
Absolutely. What about the Irish team then? What do we got in terms of the selection? I suppose with injuries and suspensions, Stephen, is pretty much not too many surprises in this one.
Well, there's 5 changes, John, from the Armenia game. So Liam Scales comes in with Josh Cullen, Jack Taylor, Chidozie Ogbene and Troy Parrott. Going out are, of course, Ryan Manning, Jason Malumbi, Will Smallbone, not available, of course, and Evan Ferguson. Festi Abiselli drops to the bench. So the Irish team, it's Caoimhín Kelleher in goal. A back 5 from right to left: Seamus Coleman, Nathan Collins, Darragh O'Shea, Jake O'Brien and Liam Scales. In fact, you'll actually see O'Brien beside Seamus Coleman, I should say. And then in midfield, it's Finn Azaz, Taylor, Cullen and Ogbene. You'll probably see Ogbene on the right-hand side and Azaz on the left. And then Troy Parrott leading the line for Ireland. Maybe some eyebrows raised at Festi Abiselli being left out. I think he's got pace that can maybe stress this Portuguese team in the closing minutes of the game, John, but he was pretty poor on the ball in that game against Armenia, so maybe paying the price for that.
And the Portuguese side, Stephen, led by Ronaldo, who a lot of people are paying to see there this evening as well.
Yeah, 5 changes for them as well, John. Coming in, Cancelo, Ignacio, Dalot, João Neves and João Felix, and they're in for Vega, Mendes, Semedo, Fernandes and Neto. Bruno Fernandes, of course, not available for this game to suspension. So the Portuguese team, it's Costa in goal. On the right of their defence is Cancelo, on the left Dalot, and then it's Ruben Dias alongside Ignacio, and then it's Neves, Vitinha and Neves in midfield. Ruben is the final one there, and then Bernardo Silva, Cristiano Ronaldo and João Felix up front for Portugal.
What do you think of the Irish selection then, Stuey Byrne?
Oh, I think it was inevitable, to be quite honest with you. I don't think there's any surprises, considering the number of absentees that we have. You know, you might argue with the fact that Malumbi, Knight, Smallbone, Manning, Ferguson are missing. They probably all would have started, possibly. So no surprises really with the team that is played. No surprise that Abiselli isn't playing either, to be quite honest. I think the issue I would have had with him in the Armenian game is just this: you don't know what you're going to get from him sometimes. You know, I don't think he kind of air of inconsistency about him. I know he's a terrifically talented player that at any moment in any game can turn it on. But over 90 minutes, I think, especially when you're playing against the likes of Portugal, you just need that element of consistency. I think Abiselli could be really, really effective coming off the bench. So I'd agree with that decision as well. I mean, I think this is one of these games, John, where I don't think the manager really has to say anything to the players. By this stage, I think they know what's at stake. They know what the result was in Armenia. Given everything that's happened up until now, players won't... I'd be shocked, to be honest with you, if there's any lack of commitment. I think really it's all about moments of quality in the game. Can we keep the ball when we get it back, maintain possession for periods that allow us to kind of get up the pitch, usual stuff. I mean, this Ireland team, we're constantly in this cycle of having to convince the Irish football public that we can do it and we can, we're good enough. And I also think that we're constantly having to convince, the team itself is constantly having to convince each other that they can do it. So I think you're quite surprised at these international games, the gaps between them, and when every time an international game comes around, you kind of feel like it's a big recess, because it certainly feels like it's been so long since the Armenia game, even only it's only really been weeks. But we're back to kind of that situation where we just have to go out and prove to ourselves that we're good enough and that we can do it. And I think if we do that, regardless of the result, you can go home with your head held high. But I also believe that if we do that, we can get a result out of the game.
How can we be, Stewie, more solid defensively, but also create more than we did in Lisbon? Because we had no shots on target in Lisbon. So how do we, obviously we can't be conceding early, but how do we take the risks? When did the risks come into the game?
Well, my takeaway from the game in Portugal was pretty much we implemented the perfect game plan, with the exception of I thought Ferguson was poor up front for us. He just didn't give us that out ball. He got bullied a little bit physically. I thought he was outmatched, so we were constantly just struggling to kind of, at stages in the game, get up the pitch, like put ourselves in the situations where we could create opportunities. So I think if that's my thought process, I would suggest that Parrott has a lot of responsibility in the game today to kind of be that player who can, give us that option of when we need to kill it. Can he hold it up? Can he draw in fouls? Can he produce a moment of quality? And he's got all that. We've seen him do this at different stages of his career. At times for Ireland, at times at club level. But maybe you'd argue that it probably hasn't been consistently there for him. And even though things have gone extremely well for him at Alkmaar, he's hardly played for Ireland in the last few months through injury or whatever the case may be. So I'd expect him to be keen tonight to kind of really, talking about going back to that what I mentioned earlier, constantly having to convince that we can do it at this level. I think Parrott will be certainly one player who'll be dying to get out on the pitch, and he can give us that moment of quality. And Ogbenny as well. I mean, I don't think I've ever remembered Ogbenny being poor for Ireland. I mean, in fact, it's to the contrary. I've always remembered him being exceptional for Ireland. And to think that he's on loan at Sheffield United, I mean, he's just one of those players that when he puts on the green jersey, he's a different player. So they're two players that can certainly stand out for us this evening. And it's a big if we can emulate the defensive display that we did have in Portugal, and if we're sort of connected, if the balance is right. And look, you do all those things and a bit of luck, and you never know.
Vinny, what you make of the team and the way it might have a formation now against the Portuguese from what you're looking at here?
Look, I think the team has picked itself in many ways. I think there's a couple of points the lads made. I think in football you got to learn, John, from game to game, and I've probably been a little bit critical of this manager at different stages because of used to probably work rate, but also a bit of cleverness. So let me just explain that real briefly and sort of pick sort of the bones real quickly. Say even, for example, what Stuey said, you look at Ireland playing with a back three, you look at the group. Hungary started the group with a back five. They played against Ireland, they played against Portugal, back five. And the manager, Marco Rossi, dropped that and went to a back four. Why is that important? So it goes back to the questions they're asking themselves as a staff, the manager's asking, and have they looked at this? And it looked like if I've done a press conference now, I'd like to know, does he know these stats I'm going to throw at you? And stats mean nothing till you cross the white line. Portugal play in the last 10 games playing against back fives, averaged 67% possession. 62% possession when they play against back five. When they play against the back four, it's only 51. The average position is about 10 yards deeper. And have we learned from that? It doesn't look like it on paper. It looks like we're going to a three. So when Portugal face a back three or five, there's about a 10% difference in the game in possession stats. So does that mean just because they're stats and that mean Ireland get a result? I'm saying we've been so negative as a team. People have called for this pragmatism. I understand it. But if we do the same thing as we done in Portugal, in one sense, people are saying we're unlucky, and we were. But they're like, and I don't like XG, believe it or not, I've thrown some stats at you. Their XG was nearly 4. It was 3.7 something. So you look at the difference between, learn from Hungary, who in many ways are comparable. Okay, they've got a couple of more classy players, a couple of obvious ones. So in the first game, Hungary played with a back five. They lost 3-2 and they 5 shots on target. The second game, they drew 2-2 and they had 15 shots on target. Portugal are not comfortable against back four because people get higher up the pitch. We have the players, and we've had them all campaign, and we look at modern football to play with a 4-4-2 without the ball. This management setup haven't done a good job with this Irish group. I take Stuey's point on Evan. I don't think he was very good, and people will know, and very close to Evan in particular. He's scored 4 of the last 5 competitive games for Ireland. Completely isolated when he turns up in a green jersey. So much so that it's affecting his club form when he goes back. The manager's shown him his running stats and saying, you can't play this weekend. You've just emptied the tank for Ireland. And we've got it all wrong. So let's hope I look like a fool at 10 o'clock tonight and they get this magical result. But there is no evidence to back it up. And they haven't done their homework for me. And they've got it completely wrong on a constant basis. tonight is excusable, the changes, but the changes to the squad and to the starting 11 is not excusable over this campaign. We've had a miserable campaign, and ultimately the buck stops at the manager. As I would know and other people would know, when you manage, that's what happens. They've just got it completely wrong on a constant basis.
Stewie, what do you think of what Finney's saying here?
Oh, it's very hard to argue against it, to be honest. I think it makes an awful lot of sense. I just think, I suppose if from our point of view, any time we've ever moved away from that 5, we just seem to have struggled. And sometimes that's to do with the players we have available at that any particular time. I mean, I am quite shocked at how we never seem to be able to bring in a settled squad. We always seem to be missing 2 or 3 or 4, and they tend to be the key players as well. I mean, Parr's a very good example. There's been a lot of hope in this campaign in particular, considering his club form, and he hasn't played for us. He hasn't hardly played, so that's been a big disappointment. But when you look at I suppose if you want to look at the game this evening, could he have gone with 4-4-2? I mean, look, you can always go with 4-4-2. You can always certainly, with the players you have at your disposal, no issue. But maybe I'm not trying to defend the Helgrimson or the staff at all here, but we how will I put this? We've looked less likely to concede when we've had a 5. I mean, that's the stupidest comment you're ever going to hear, because it's so obvious. But that's how low the bar is for us at the moment, because of how we've gotten it so wrong from the opening game. I would have loved to have seen us in this campaign go with 2 up top. I was pretty hopeful it was going to go that way, whether it be when you go back to the Hungary game. Here, I think it was looking, Parrott looked like he was going to be fit, then he wasn't fit, and I was very hopeful Ferguson and Parrott would have gone up, would have started up top, or even Ida and Ferguson. But he's gone with 1, and we've gone with the back 5, and I just think maybe, and even just to take Vinny's point there, I think the thought process maybe in the group, in the staff, the people who make these decisions, it's probably not where it needs to be. So I find it hard to actually disagree with that.
Vinny, just on the Portuguese team here, Ronaldo obviously leading the line, 143 international goals. You got the Manchester City captain Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, Champions League winner with Paris Saint-Germain. Like João Cancelo's in there, Ruben Dias, Manchester City defender, Diogo Dalot of Manchester United. Is there any maybe hope for us that they're nearly there? They're gonna top the group, and they got Armenia to play in the last game. That subconsciously, as a footballer, as a former player yourself, that they might just be not as urgent or on the edge as they could be.
I don't think so. I think the challenge we have is I listened to one of the players this week speaking about not getting over the line yet was bothering them a little bit. So unfortunately, and it feels like they feel they have a little bit of unfinished business in Dublin to do, and I think they'd be right at it tonight. I think that the soundbite you hear, you just and sometimes players can say stuff, and you can, particularly ex-players or coaches, you can read through it. Obviously, never worked international level. The point is, you can still read the underbelly of it. But this sounds a little bit more. They've got the bit between their teeth a little bit, and that's what's creating the fear, So I don't see it. Obviously they're usually talented. 2 of the 3 in midfield are from PSG. They're talent all over the place. A lot of players playing in the Saudi, and they're starting 11. There's nearly 5, I think. 1, 2, 4, 5 players in the starting. So it's really, what is that level? But ultimately, they're still fantastic footballers. We're up against it. The only good thing, and not to go back into that back 4 whole argument, is João Felix, very, very exciting. But between Bernardo Silva and Ronaldo, you're not real fear of pace. And ultimately, at the highest level in football, whatever, when you go up levels, whether it's from the basic all the way up, pace is the one thing that really hurts you and you fear. And with this team, that's why I think maybe you might see Seamus Coleman playing in the back three and doing the job on Ronaldo, because Ronaldo's not going to run away from him. So therein lies the thing. Therein lies the sort of weakness, for want of a better word, of these Portuguese side.
And also from a...
If you look at the Portuguese left side from the night we played them in Faro, you had Mendes, Vitinha and Neto, 3 really high quality players that O'Brien, Coleman and Ogbene were up against. Like, if you compare that tonight, there's no comparison. On that side, Portugal have Dallo, Ruben Neves and João Félix, like 3, not, I wouldn't say average players, but they're not the best Portuguese players you'll see, and not exactly blessed with pace either. So there's a bit of hope there for Coleman and Ogbene, because remember, Seamus Coleman did make some headway down that right hand side in the first half of that game, and some of his passing was really, really good.
And Stewie, you're looking for his leadership as well, Seamus Coleman, because the first 15 minutes against Hungary was an absolute disaster. Can't afford anything like that again.
Yeah. Funny, while you were just having that conversation there, it kind of came into my head. Teams like this Portuguese team, these top teams, they don't drop their standards, for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons is that each individual player, there's such intelligence, or let's say football intelligence, that they even though they're so technically good, each one of those players know what their place is in the team, and there's a balance to the team. You know what I mean? And a very good way of describing a very good example there is the Ronaldo factor. Okay, these are all superstars in their own right, big players, big personalities, big egos. Yet they're able to sacrifice maybe their own ego or their own, performance to sort of enable, Ronaldo to be the leader of that team. So there's a kind of a hierarchy structure. There's a balance there, and there's a wonderful understanding, and that emulates in all the top teams. That's something we need to learn from, And you bring up Seamus Coleman. In a way, we kind of have that a little bit in the Irish team. Coleman, with the experience he has and the wonderful player he's been, and how he carries himself, and how he does lead the team, not just sort of in his performance, but sort of spiritually and all that kind of stuff. But it's not enough for us, we have to be perfect, and that's why we kind of constantly say, look, you never know, and if everything goes right. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. That's what I always get from the top teams. There's a wonderful understanding between the individual players of how good he is, and where I can fit in, sort of a thing, and it's a joy to watch them.
What about your verdict, Stewie? How are you feeling?
I'll just go back to what we say. I just feel it's important for the team to play to the best of their ability, to literally try and get it right defensively, the way we did maybe against Portugal away would be a good example of, I think, would be a good bar for us. And then we have to get it right going forward. I think Para, Ogbene, if we can, if they're on their game this evening, I don't think we'll be a million miles away from getting the results.
And Stephen, before we go, for the time being, 17 minutes to kick off, is the music any better? Is the atmosphere any better?
Just looking at the music, did seem to kind of crank up there a bit. It was actually an ad that was being played on the big screen, John. But listen, it's not. There was a lot of talk about the Aviva Stadium, and I think Nathan Collins was talking about it being a hard place to come. It's not really a hard place to come for opposition teams. It's a really nice pitch, big stadium. It's not very intimidating. There's a big Portuguese crowd really assembled down to our left. The south stand behind it's the short stand behind the goal there. There's a really, really good crowd of Portuguese fans there, still filling in as well, and they've all got their Portuguese flags and shirts. There's a lot of colour there, John, and I'd say they're going to be certainly cheering their team on right from the start till the end. The big thing as well, John, is Portugal don't really need to win this game.
No.
If they get a point against Armenia in the last game, they'll be okay to top the group. So yeah, let's just see. I'm hoping Stewie, as he is bang on talking about Portugal and how they approach these things, but let's hope tonight they're just having an off night.
Yeah, I just don't think these teams drop their standards as much as we hope. It all really comes down to how we can. It really, John. If you want to put it in an easier way, we have to find a way. That's it. And that means standing on someone's toes or annoying. Just we have to find a way.
And actually, just quickly on that, John, Liam Scales in the team tonight. He's only played one sub appearance in this campaign. I remember him playing for Celtic against Lazio on a big Champions League night, and he went in, put a reducer in. I think it was in on Matthias Vecino, and he put an absolute reduce on him, and the whole of Parkhead erupted. It was only in the middle of the pitch, absolutely erupted, and that just got the atmosphere going for the whole night. Now look, Celtic lost the match 2-1, but that's neither here nor there.
Here's a good song, by the way. Fontaines just came on.
Hopefully Scales can do something like that tonight, but great to hear the Fontaines, John.
Great stuff, lads. Thanks so much, Stephen Doyle and Stuey Byrne, live from the Aviva Stadium, whetting our appetite for the match between the Republic of Ireland and Portugal. Thank you for now, and off the ball here on News Talk. Vinnie Perth's going to stay with us until 10 o'clock. We're going to be across every moment of this World Cup qualifier between the Republic of Ireland and Portugal. Remember, Hungary have won 1-0 in Armenia. The news round is up after the break. But first, it's time for the cash machine.
News Talk's Cash Machine.
Now, after our biggest ever winner last week, there's another huge prize amount to be won this Friday. The number you need to know is €264,000 exactly. There are two ways you can enter. You can visit newstalk.com/cash machine, where you can enter online, or text play to 57557. That's 57557. Get your entry in by 3 o'clock this Friday. Then across the Go Loud network of stations, someone will get that call. If your phone rings, answer it within 5 rings. Give us the exact amount in euro and cent, and you'll win the cash. Remember that amount, €264,000 exactly. Over 18s only. Text cost €2.50 plus your standard message rate to play. You're playing across the Go Loud network of stations, and terms and conditions are on newstalk.com. We're back after this.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by William Hill. Download the app and play today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?